Hi guys, it's Jess from Honest Fiction, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite Hades and Persephone retellings. Alright guys, so before we jump into the video, I just want to explain how this video is going to be formatted. I'm going to be talking about 4 different Hades and Persephone retellings, along with a very brief spoiler-free review of each book and why I think the book is a good representation of the Hades and Persephone story. Also, if you're familiar or unfamiliar with my channel, I am making some changes. So thanks to YouTube analytics, I have realized that my Tuesday videos aren't doing really hot. So I am going to change my schedule. Moving forward, I'm going to be posting on Sundays and Thursdays. So no more Tuesday videos, only Sunday and Thursday, and maybe another day. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, if you're unfamiliar with my channel, please like and subscribe. You can also hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. You can also check out my Instagram. It's linked down in the description below, and it's filled with other bookish stuff. So with that being said, let's get into these retellings. All right, so we're gonna start this off with a very loose retelling of the Hades and Persephone story. I feel like this is more inspired by Hades and Persephone than actually a retelling, but I did enjoy it, and that is A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. It has been a minute since I read this, but I think I remember it pretty well overall. So there is Luella, and she lives in the human world, and every 100 years or so, a human girl is chosen to become the human queen and marries the elf king. And he is kind of this he's this like curmudgeon-y, angry king that's very mysterious. She doesn't know a lot about him, and it turns out, not surprisingly, that she ends up being chosen to be the new human queen and marry the elf king. So they pretty much have to deal with each other. She really just wants to get back to the human lands and doesn't want anything to do with this marriage. He is kind of doing it just because he knows, like, it's his duty. He has to marry this human queen, and obviously they eventually develop a relationship and they kind of work together. And she also has powers, I believe, that are very bound to nature. Like, she's able to like make things grow, very Persephone-esque. But overall, I did enjoy this. I do feel like there were some areas of the book that just weren't very fleshed out towards the end. We're left with a lot of unanswered questions. I did really like Luella as like a Persephone-esque character. She was a little feisty. I really like my Persephone characters to not be like super innocent. I like them to have like a little bit of spice. So I did like her. I think the Elf King, we could have gotten a little bit more from him. He is kind of like one-dimensional. But overall, it was a very good story. I do believe this is going to be a series. I think their story is done, but they do mention different paranormal creatures in this book, like vampires, werewolves, like mermen. So I think this series is going to continue with like different paranormal creatures. But overall, definitely worth checking out. And yeah, I really did enjoy it. Alright guys, so the next one on this list is an actual retelling, and that is A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett and Clair. This might actually be my favorite retelling that's on this list. I will say this is a series, and I'm basing this only on the first book. This is the only one I read in the series, but it's really good. So this follows Hades and Persephone, once again, obviously, and Persephone is a college student. So this is an urban fantasy. I am not a huge fan of urban fantasies. I find them very jarring, and just especially for Hades and Persephone retelling, I didn't think I would like that. I ended up loving it. So Hades and the gods are known to the humans, and they're very powerful, but most of them are like businessmen and like business moguls. So Zeus, I think, owns like a bunch of retail properties, and Hades owns clubs, and it kind of goes from there. For some reason, the writer made the choice to give all of the gods horns. I'm not really sure why that choice was made. I guess so humans could like differentiate gods from people or something. I don't know. But anyway, it starts with Persephone, and she's with humans. No one knows that she is Persephone, the goddess spring. They just assume she's a normal college girl. And her friend and her go out clubbing one night, and they end up at Hades Club, and she ends up making a deal with Hades. And if she doesn't fulfill the terms of this deal or this contract, she has to live in the underworld. And it really progresses from there. And I loved this book. I thought it was so good. I loved Persephone. I thought, once again, she had enough spunk. I really enjoyed her character. I liked Hades. I will say I kind of wish this had a little bit more of a slow burn aspect. They kind of they kind of have like an attraction like as soon as they see each other, which is very common with Hades and Persephone retellings because they're like fated lovers. However, it happened really fast. I wish we kind of waited a little bit. There is smut in this, but I feel like it hit the sweet spot for smut. Like there's not too much of it. There's like a few scenes and it was good. I really enjoyed this. I like this book a lot. So I think if you want a more adult, urban Hades and Persephone's retelling, this is it. And the next book on this list is actually the book that inspired me to do this video. I have never read anything by this author before. However, moving forward, I will definitely be picking up more of her works. I really enjoyed this book, and that was Neon Gods by Katee Rogers. This is another Hades and Persephone retelling, kind of set in an urban-ish setting. The only part of this book that I didn't enjoy was the fact that I really had trouble understanding. There seems to be an Olympus that has like all of the gods, and it's very like Gossip Girl. So there's like the upper city that has Zeus, and he like kind of runs the 13, which is like all of the main gods like Demeter, Apollo, Aphrodite, all of them. And then there's the lower city, which is where Hades resides. And then there seems to be the human world, and there's a way to get there, but that's not really explained very well. And the river Styx is what divides the upper city and the lower city. Anyway, I digress. So for the most part, everything really takes place in the upper and lower cities. And Persephone is this socialite daughter of Demeter, I believe. And her mother has decided that she is going to marry Zeus. And Zeus is notorious for killing all his wives. I love the fact that Zeus is a bad guy in this. I just think it's an awesome interpretation because normally Zeus is like the all-powerful, like kind of good guy. Really enjoyed it. Anyway, so Persephone is going to marry Zeus, but she's terrified because Zeus is killing all his wives and she just wants to get out of there. So she ends up crossing the river Styx and meets Hades, and she thinks that Hades is a myth. Everyone thinks that the Hades line like has died out, and he's there, and they end up forming this relationship, and they try to get back at Zeus, and there's a contract that says that Zeus isn't allowed to go into Hades' territory. So she's kind of safe, and they make this deal that she's going to stay with she's going to stay with Hades for 3 months until the winter's over, and then she's going to go to the human world. And they develop this relationship, and the stakes just get higher and higher. There is a ton of smut in this. It kind of felt like Hades and Persephone meets 50 Shades of Grey. There's little like BDSM stuff. Everything is consensual. So like if you're someone, personally, I'm this way too. I do not like non-consent. Freaks me out. Can't read it in books. None of that's in here. Everything's consensual. But it was great. I really, really liked this book. I will say it was a little bit more smut heavy than I prefer reading, but I think if you're a fan of romance, you'll love this. And I really liked the take. I loved all of the characters. Hermes in this is just so funny. Who else is in here? It's the god of wine. It's gonna bug me. I totally forget the name of. But anyway, all of the characters feel very well-rounded. I really loved the story. I loved the twist. And yeah, definitely check out, if you're new to Katee Roberts like I was, she's an awesome author, and I wish I read her sooner. So yeah, definitely check out Neon Gods by Katee Roberts. And the last retelling isn't a book, however, it had to be included in this list just because it is adorable, and that is Lore Olympus. I think it's called a webtoon. It's like a cartoon or like manga that you can read online. Not manga style. It has its very own unique art style, but it's so cute. Persephone is just a little cinnamon roll. Like, she's adorable. But it's a modern retelling of the Hades and Persephone relationship. So it starts out with all of the gods are like at this party, and Aphrodite gets jealous of Persephone, ends up having someone drug her, and they put her in the back of Hades' car. So then Hades drives home, realizes Persephone is in the back seat, falls like instantly in love with her, and takes care of her, and the next morning like brings her back, and it's kind of their relationship and their dynamic. And it has all of the Greek gods. They all have very unique and interesting personalities, and it's just cute, and it's just a good time. I will say, unlike A Touch of Darkness that I felt like was instant chemistry, this slow burn has taken a while. I am not finished with this series yet. I think it's broken up into seasons. I'm only on episode like 26 or 27, and we're not even close to them like having a relationship. So it's definitely taking some time to build that, but overall, very enjoyable, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. All right, guys, that is it for my Hades and Persephone retellings. Please let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you think. Also, if there are any Hades and Persephone retellings that I did not mention, let me know down in the comments below. I am obsessed with this story, so I would love to read anything related to Hades and Persephone. I said this already, but I post new videos on Thursdays and Sundays, and if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I will see you all next week. Bye.